and that leads me to my next point is, so BYU has rushed the ball 60 times on first down, and they've rushed the ball 55 times on second down. So they're pretty consistently running on first down, running on second down. They're pretty conservative, I guess you could say. But
what are they averaging per play?
That makes you really, I guess they're pretty. I guess I would say they're pretty consistent, or pretty. How do I want to say it? They're pretty balanced on first down and on second down, but yeah, it seems like some defenses have kind of fallen for those play action passes and some different things, or even some broken plays with Jaren Hall that have really gone for deep passes, and some of those have been on first down or second down. So yeah, pretty interesting balance. But yeah, they're definitely gonna, no matter what down it is, they could run it or they could pass it for sure.
There's been, since we're talking about running game, there are 129 carries that have gone between Algier, Jaren Hall, and Katoa. No other player on that team has more than 4 carries.
Yeah.
And they're averaging 4.7 yards per carry.
4.7.
Well, I'm 100% guaranteeing or expecting Jaren Hall to play. I know Romney played, and Romney probably passed the ball, and I know his passing, passer rating and all that kind of stuff is better than Jaren Hall's. But I'm 100% expecting Jaren Hall to play this Friday.
It would be a huge shock if he didn't jog out there.
Yeah,
I'd be blown away.
What's wrong with him? I don't even know what's wrong with him.
Bruised ribs, right?
He didn't play the last game, so they just held him out because he got
bruised ribs, right?
Yeah, he got hit, and what was funny is he said, even in his press conference or interview, he said, "Oh yeah, I just got the wind knocked out of me," and then they held him out of the next game against USF. So obviously, it was more than just getting the wind knocked out of him. Romney came in that game against Arizona State and threw a touchdown, and that was basically the end of the game. That sealed it. But and then against USF, he had like 4 touchdown passes or something like that. So
yeah, it's South Florida.
I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah.
Receiving wise, they've only got 2 guys that have got double-digit receptions.
Mm-hmm.
The Romney kid and Pau, or however you pronounce his name.
Pau, yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, and that's
Nakua's got 8.
He's
the next closest dude.
Yeah. And I don't know if they necessarily have a ton of depth at wide receiver, but they definitely have. I mean, Puka Nacua, the other Nacua, they have guys that could definitely catch some passes. But those 2 guys, I think Neil Pau and Gunnar Romney, the Aggies need to make sure they don't let those guys get open for sure. Especially Gunnar Romney if his brother's passing him the ball, because he just looks for him and wants to throw his brother the ball. But regardless. So anything to keep an eye on with Utah State? Any injuries? Any changes? Do you think that they'll make or anything this week, Brian?
Well, I definitely, like I said earlier, I definitely think you'll see a different approach if they try and throw that 2 deep safety cover 2 at them like Boise did. Yeah. They've got to kind of go in with, maybe almost 2 game plans, just to try and see which defensive look they're going to give them. So they have to switch things up if they're just going to sit two safeties over the top, like an umbrella, right?
Yeah.
Maybe try and do some seam work, tight end pop, that kind of thing. Start using Carson Terrell a little bit more. They need to just try and continue to be successful running the football. We've got three guys that do that really well. You know, John Gentry, obviously Calvin Tyler Jr., and I feel like LL Yanoa is a good back as well. So they've got to keep trying to pound the ball. If they're going to try and sit the safeties back, they've got to run effectively so that they force the safeties to come up. And then once that can happen, then you can start running your slot guys deep, Bowling, Devin Tompkins, and start getting back to what we've done successfully in our 3 wins. And really, honestly, the first half of the Boise game.
Yeah.
You know, we got to cut down on the drop balls. Way too many drops last week. A couple of critical ones, right? Everybody's remembering first drive of the game and ball skips off receiver's hands and right into the hands of a safety. That was a pretty big momentum change. I know that may sound ridiculous because it was about a minute into the game is all, but I kind of felt like that kind of let the wind out of the sails just a touch. But yeah, offensively, that's just what they're going to have to approach it as is maybe just see what kind of look they give them and go in with 2 different game plans almost.
Yeah,
I think that Coach Anderson coming out and saying, hey, Logan Bonner is QB1 and we're not going to do any of this platooning type stuff. May kind of solidify things a little bit. It should definitely cut down on the uncertainty, maybe, if that's what you want to call it, as to whether Logan's going to jog out there or whether Andy's going to jog out there. Andy's been extremely effective. Don't get me wrong. Man, he was incredible. The 4th quarter, especially of the Air Force game. Yeah. But you really almost have to just pick a guy and go with him. I think that Andy will be very effective in the spots that they pick for him, even if it's just a series every now and then, change the pace kind of guy. We have the luxury of having 2 quarterbacks with 2 very different skill sets. You know, Logan is the drop back passer that, you know, is a gunslinger. I mean, we've seen him just sling it left and right for good or bad. And, you know, he's carried us to victory. We've got 3 wins under our belt. 2 of those games we weren't projected to win, right? So can't complain about how it's gone. Andy has elite speed for a quarterback. I mean, it's a really rare thing to have a quarterback with wheels like him. I mean, it's just he could possibly be one of the fastest quarterbacks in the country, and that's a pretty nice thing to be able to have a guy go back there and have him be a threat in the running game. He has to be respected. The second number 6 jogs out there, he has to be respected and accounted for defensively.
Yeah, Andy's come back so well from an ACL surgery and some other things too.
Didn't lose a step.
Not to mention that he's stayed around. He's been prepared. He came in that Air Force game with no expectation, I'm sure, of really, taking over in the second half or anything. Obviously, it was an injury to Bonner. What'll be really interesting, I know it's a really kind of hot topic for Aggie fans to talk about how they hate screens and bubble screens and blah, blah, blah. But I really think this is a game that you've got to call some screens. You've got to mix it up. I mean, like you say, BYU is not just going to let you run a go route with Tompkins and chuck it down into single coverage or let Tompkins run by a guy. Utah State offense is going to have to take what BYU gives them, and they're going to have to get 4 and 5 yards at a time and get first down. I don't think it's going to be the deep passes. But that said, what year was it that last time BYU was ranked in Provo? Was that, what was it, 2013 or whatever? I guess 14, maybe it's 2014. Anyway,
Right.
Yeah, I think it's 2014. That's what everybody was saying too. They're like, oh, Aggies aren't going to be able to go deep. They're not going to get any deep shots. And then Garrettson was just throwing bombs all game.
Yeah.
But I think I'm right in saying this, that the Aggies are definitely going to have to open that up with some, obviously, a good running game and some screens and some different plays that maybe get those safeties to come up or get that defense to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah, and I mean, if they're gonna roll their safeties into cover 2 like Boise did, second half especially, showing bracket coverage, they were just doing a lot of different things that we hadn't seen all year. The middle of the field is just, I think we got to utilize the tight ends a lot more,
Right.
because I think BYU's linebackers, they're going to be playing up, because we can run the ball. We've proven we can run the ball on every single team we've played.
Yeah.
So I think that's just I think if we attack the middle of the field with the tight ends, that's going to help the running game, as well as it's going to, they might be in cover 2, but that safety is going to start cheating. And all Tompkins needs is one step. That guy's one step out of position. He can beat the safety, and they can get over the top of, or beat the corner and get over the top of the safety. That's, because he was just out of position by a yard. I think that's going to be key.
And hopefully,
damn
like,
it,
you're good.
Freaking enough penalties.
Right.
Like 14 penalties for 100 and some yards.
Right.
And a lot of procedure crap because we were going fast and people weren't set. And I mean, we're 4 games into it, and I don't think I've seen in 4 games this many procedure penalties on receivers in just 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had. It's just been crazy. But we can't play teams. And I said BYU, I don't think they're ranked 13th and blah 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 blah. They're a good team, obviously. They're undefeated. They haven't been beat, so got to give them props for that. But to beat teams, I mean, coach has said it, to beat teams that you're quote unquote not supposed to beat, or they're more physical, coach even said, we're not going to out physical them. We're not going to, but we're quicker. He thinks we're quicker, we're faster, and all that stuff. The mental stuff, you got to get it. You got to take care of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That just killed us. And if our high tempo offense can't sustain drives, there's no point of being high tempo offense, because you're trying to tire the defense out and get into the second half and all this stuff. But if you're not getting first downs and you're not sustaining drives, 3 and out here, 3 and out here, 5 plays on this drive, turn the ball over, get a couple good plays, then you get a false start or a holding penalty, or you know what I mean? Just the knucklehead stuff, And I tweeted out after the game, or it might have been the next day, the box score. And you look at the box score before you look at the actual score.
Crazy.
It's just like, what the hell happened here? You know what I mean? It's like time of possession. They had us on time of possession by about 10, 11 minutes. We outrushed them. They had more passing yards, total offense. We had more. They beat us in the turnovers, 3-1, 4-1 if you call the fake punt a turnover, which I do.
That's a turnover.
Especially
when you do it on like the 18-yard line.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't turn the ball over. And I'm talking about BYU. Don't turn the ball over. Cut down on your penalties. I mean, mistakes are going to happen, but 10 or 11 of them, 14. I think there was actually 14 for 101, right? I think that's what I saw. Or I'm remembering.
34 penalties for the year. And really, I mean, the first 2 games, the Aggies didn't have penalties.
No, we were really good. And that could be part of what coach